What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie that I saw the trailer for several times in theaters throughout the beginning part of this year. And it was a movie that I was interested in watching. I was really hoping to get an opportunity to catch this in the theater, but I never got the chance to. So it's currently available on VOD. And this movie stars Carey Mulligan, who I think is an absolutely incredible actress. I'll pretty much watch her in anything that she's in. She always delivers just a truly fantastic performance. And I always love films that are surrounding music, like music is the central core focus. And this seemed like a simple movie, but like if it's executed correctly, that it could provide a pretty substantial emotional punch. And I'm excited to tell you about the movie The Ballad of Wallis Island today. The Ballad of Wallis Island is directed by James Griffiths. Eccentric lottery winner Charles lives alone on a remote island but dreams of hiring his favorite musician, Herb McGwyer, to play an exclusive private gig. Unbeknownst to Herb, Charles has also hired Herb's ex bandmate and ex girlfriend, Nell, with her new husband in tow to perform old favorites. As tempers flare and old tensions resurface, the stormy weather traps all of them on the island, and Charles desperately looks for ways to salvage his dream gig. So, like I said, I was really excited to watch this movie. I love movies that are about musicians or that have music as a focal point. And what I will say about this movie, it's incredibly sweet. It's very charming. It has some really great performances. I liked the music in it. It definitely has its moments where it hits the cliches that you're used to with these types of films. And I don't think the pacing necessarily works the entirety of the runtime. There's some scenes that I felt were a bit repetitive, but I appreciated the performances so much and loved the relationships between these characters that it kept me invested the entire runtime of the movie. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So, the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Herb McGwyer, played by Tom Basden, and we see him aboard this small boat and he's about to dock on this island. And shortly after, we're introduced to Charles Heath, played by Tim Key, and we learn Charles is incredibly eccentric. He seems to be incredibly genuine, but he's a little strange, and we can tell he lives kind of like a recluse on this island. There are some people that live there, but boats only come to the island every once in a while. And Herb believes that he has been brought on this island to play a small gig for a tiny group of people. Well, little does he know that tiny group of people is an audience of one. It's Charles, and he is obsessed with Herb's music, but not just Herb's music. His partner, Nell Mortimer, played by Carey Mulligan, the two of them several years ago were like a dynamic duo. They created music together, they toured the world, but they had a falling out in their relationship. And he has requested that she come to the island as well so that the two of them can perform together for him. And the entirety of the film is once Nell shows up on the island, her and Herb have a ton of arguments. The issues in their relationship resurface. She's currently married to a new guy who comes to the island with her, which creates more tension. And so Charles, who has experienced a tragedy in his life, where the music was such like a core focal point in his life and brought him so much joy. He just wants to experience this concert, but he's afraid it's never going to happen because of the tension between this couple. So, like I said, this movie is incredibly sweet and charming, and there's a lot to really enjoy about it. And for starters, I want to talk about the performances. Everyone in this movie does a really fantastic job. I mean, you can start with Carey Mulligan. What more can you say? She's a phenomenal actress. I feel like even in a role like this, where she's not really the central focal point of the movie, but anytime she was on screen, she's so incredibly captivating. I feel like anytime she has to do something very intense emotionally, she always brings it 110%. And that's no exception in this film. She's also very charming. She has some really funny moments, and I really liked her performance a lot. Tom Basden, who plays Herb McGwyer, does a fantastic job as well. He has to play kind of like the lost soul musician who's a bit of an asshole, that has to try to find himself through this experience. And I think his personality with Carey Mulligan's character, what's really interesting is they do such an amazing job painting this picture of why these two worked together for so long, like how they operated as a group, what made them successful, but we can also see the flaws that caused their relationship to break apart. And I think, like, in such a small runtime, they do a really great job, not necessarily through heavy-handed expositional dialogue, but just through the way characters react in a specific moment to create an emotional dynamic. And I always find that to be so much more powerful because it creates this level of realism that works very well. And I appreciated that about both of their performances. Tim Key as Charles is probably my favorite performance in the film, though. I loved his character, just kind of like, you're learning why he is the way that he is. And, funny enough, the guy won the lottery 2 times, which the probability of that is just so insane. But also, like, winning the lottery twice associated with the tragedy that he's experienced in his life, and how that's completely and totally altered the course of what he wants to do with his money and how he wants to live. And then the impact that he has on these people's lives, Herb in particular, it was just a really unique dynamic. And I really appreciated the approach that they had to how these characters interacted, and how his presence and the way that he responds to situations kind of changes the framework for how these characters, particularly Herb, thinks in the long term. As far as like visual style in this movie, it's not the most remarkably shot thing, but I do think the cinematographer does a really nice job capturing the personality of this island, because it's a very small, secluded place. And I feel like you get a very distinct idea of the environment that these characters are in, and it's kind of like a cozy movie. It's one of those, like, once you are dropped into this place and you're in this home for a little while and like spending time on the beach, it's just the cinematographer does a really nice job capturing that atmosphere, and that's something else that I really appreciated. And the music really is the standout in this movie. I feel like the original songs that are used for this, they're very well done. It's incredibly believable that these two would have been a popular music group in this time period. And I'm always hopeful for that when I watch a movie about like fake musicians, where it's like, okay, we're trying to create this dynamic of people we're supposed to believe were popular. Will the music reflect that? And I think this movie does a really great job, and it explores a multitude of themes, obviously, with at the core focus being like Herb McGwyer's character really is the central focal point of this musician who for so long pursued his career making music that he was passionate about, and now in his career he's making music that you can tell he's not necessarily as into. He's trying to like rebrand himself, but he seems to have like fallen out of love with the craft that he has created. And I think that the movie does a really nice job showcasing the importance of authenticity in art, and that that the art that impacts people the most is the stuff that comes from the heart. And so many artists sell out and do things to kind of shift with the times, and a lot of times that doesn't work for people, and they'll lose following and people won't appreciate the music as much. And being genuine is the most important thing that you can do as an artist, and I really liked that part of the movie. And I also think it captures relationship dynamics in a really interesting way, especially between these two characters who were very much in love at one point, but one person can't kind of drop their selfishness to make the relationship work. And I really liked the approach to the relationship dynamics. And like I said, Charles's character is really kind of the driving force for this. He's a person who music impacted his previous relationship and his life so much, and he's experienced a lot of grief amidst winning the lottery twice, and having something so absurd happen 2 different times. But that doesn't bring him joy. That's not what keeps him going. And so the music is really his source of joy. And I think having the relationship of what music means to an artist versus what the music means to a person consuming the art is something so incredible. Like, so many of us attach ourselves to musical artists, and we love what they do, and we connect to their music. And for a lot of us, music is our entire lives. And so, like, the idea and prospect of getting to meet your favorite musician and how would that go, like, is what they showcase in their music who they are as a person? And I just thought all of these different themes being explored, it was handled very well. And like I said, there's some cliches for certain. This movie, these types of films, they've been done before, so you'll have some things that you'll probably recognize. There's a few scenes that I felt a little bit repetitive, which made the experience not perfect by any means, but there's so much like charm and joy in the core of this movie, and the performances are so good that it is 100% worth your time checking out. So have you seen The Ballad of Wallis Island? Did you love it? love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredibly charming. I really appreciated it a lot, and I'll honestly be watching it again in the future. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.